Good evening, interweb. It's Mick the old punk here. I'm smiling because there's kids outside playing and my dog is going a bit crazy, so this may get interrupted very quickly here. And spoiler alert from the thumbnail, this video has nothing to do with personal finances, but I am talking about value, specifically self-worth, and how do you judge it? How do you value yourself? I suspect that this is a topic that everybody struggles with from time to time, unless you're a narcissist. And even then, I think they struggle with it. They just hide it. I think the more trauma you've had in your life, this might be a really difficult mountain to conquer. But it's one of those things you keep trying, and eventually, hopefully, you start making some progress. So I'm going to recap one thing that happened this week, which threw me out of my comfort zone, but at the same time, it was something that on a deep level, I knew I was doing the right thing. And if I was, able to like step outside of my body and look at myself with a completely objective viewpoint, then I know that I was doing the right thing, right? Because logically, I understand how this situation works, the psychology behind it, and how normies, my cute name for normal people, how they would handle this. So I run my own business, have done for over 20 years, and my business would be far more successful had it not been for my trauma. I'm constantly self-sabotaging myself, and it shows up in different ways all the time. But the irony is, even with all of this self-sabotage, even with getting in my own way, I'm still here 20 years later. Business is not where I'd like it to be, but it's still paying the bills. I'm debt free, and I've survived multiple recessions and however many different changes of government. So I'm doing something right in spite of myself. But my industry is constantly changing. I had to completely pivot my business about 6 or 8 years ago because I almost went under. And right now I'm doing better than I was. I'm not doing as well as I was pre-COVID, but I'm still doing okay. But now the sales cycle to win new clients is much more complex. It's much more elongated, meaning before someone would call me, they'd need help. 9 times out of 10, I could essentially give them a quote on the phone, or just go and help them and then just send them a bill. That kind of work doesn't happen as much now, and the vast majority of the work in my industry is contract based because we need to use much more tools, right? And I'm in cybersecurity, and the cyber threats are growing at such a rate that only the US economy and the Chinese economy now generate more money than cybercrime. That's how bad it's gotten. Cybercrime has now overtaken illegal drugs. That's how much money it's generating. And there's no way any individual can stay on top of this. And so clients and potential clients, 98% of them have no clue just how bad things are. And so this means I have to have a lot more tools. I have to have a lot more training, but it also means I charge more, and it also means that the sale process is longer than it was. And I had somebody call me last week, and they wanted me to come into their office and assess their situation, and they wanted me to do X, Y, and Z. And I chatted with the guy for a good 30-45 minutes, and I said to him, look, you know, back in the day, what you're asking for would be very simple. We could just do this and we could just do that. But I don't operate that way anymore. I have to do a full threat assessment of your network, of your systems, before I can do anything. And there's a cost to that. And it took a lot for me to say that, because that is me telling this person that I've never met before that I do value what I do. I do value my knowledge. I do value my experience, to the point where I'm willing to potentially turn away new business if they don't do things the way I want them to do it. And yes, as a trauma survivor, I have a lot of control issues, but this is not a control issue. This is just doing the right thing for the client or potential client, and also the right thing for me, because I could get sued if I don't do my job properly. And I went through the whole thing, and I said, so if you want me to do anything on your network to touch any of your systems, you need to approve this, and here's how much it's going to cost. And in the past, and I've done this, I would have offered to do this for free to try and get in the door, right? Not realizing, or perhaps I did on some level, that by offering it for free, I'm removing any perceived value from the client's standpoint. They also don't have any skin in the game, so they don't care when it happens, if it happens, and they're not necessarily going to take it seriously. And so I said to them, this is how much it's going to cost, and it's going to be between 20 and 40 hours worth of work on my part. That's why I have to charge for this. And he's like, well, you know, you come highly recommended to me. I trust you, but I don't want to spend that kind of money. I said, I get that. I totally get that. And let me see if I can explain it to you differently. I said, let's say, for sake of argument, there's something nasty hidden on your network. You don't know about it currently. I certainly don't know about it because I've never been on your network. Let's say I go in, I do my assessment, I put my tools on, I take my tools off, and 2 or 3 days later, you have a problem, completely unrelated to what I've done, but you have a problem on your network just after I've been in there for the first time. Who are you going to blame? And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. You've got a point. I said, exactly. I said, so if you agree to this, whether you work with me or not moving forward, you will have a complete documented threat assessment of where you are. So whether you work with somebody else or me, you'll know where you stand. There'll be no surprises. And he's like, well, I like that, but I still don't want to pay that kind of money. I wasn't prepared for that kind of thing. So I said, I'll tell you what, and I've not done this before, and I actually think it's a pretty good sales tactic for smaller clients anyway. I said, I'll tell you what, if you approve it, I will, if you approve it, I will do the assessment for you, and we'll go through it all, and I'll give you your options and what the cost will be, because I can't give you a blind potential price now, because I need to learn what you have and what you don't have and what have you. But if you do this with me, and then you decide to engage my company moving forward, I will refund the cost of this assessment. And you could just completely hear his demeanor on the phone change. He's like, oh, I like that. That's very flexible. I appreciate that you're saying that. And we talked a bit more, this, that, and the other. And then I said to him, so what do you want to do? You want to think about it for a few days? Let me know next week. Or, you know, you want to say yes? It's up to you. And he said, no. He said, given how flexible you're going to be, this is the right thing to do. Let's do it. So we approved it on the spot. And then we exchanged emails, and he approved it in email. So it's literally sitting there documented. So tomorrow I'm going to draw up the initial contracts and documents and get those out to him. But the whole time I was doing this, I was really anxious. I was really nervous because this was genuinely messing with my head. Because on the one side, you're not good enough. Whatever you do, you shouldn't charge for it. You shouldn't charge that much for it because it's easy to use, so therefore it has no value. And it's not easy to me, it's bloody hard, but I make it seem easy because that's the field I'm in. Any field you're in, you make that look easy to people on the outside, right? It's the same kind of thing. But then there's also this kind of, you know, like I say, if you can sort of step outside your body and look at it from the outside in, I'm doing the right thing by him, the potential client. I'm doing the right thing by me. There's more and more government legislation coming down, so I'm doing the right thing by them. And there's more and more insurance company hoops to jump through, so I'm doing the right thing by them. And then you wrap all that in and you think, well, there's only so many tools out there that people like me can use, and every other IT company out there is using the same tools. So if they're using the same tools as me, and I'm leveraging their skills, because there's no way I can be an expert on every tool and every aspect of this, I'm essentially becoming like a general contractor, like building a house or something. I become like a general contractor for all these cybersecurity tools and vendors. And when you think of it like that, you start saying to yourself, whether it's me or someone else, he's going to get the same level of protection, the same level of knowledge and understanding. And that completely shifts my perception or my lack of value, because I'm not the one doing everything now. I'm leveraging the vendors that every other IT company would be using. So that makes me feel good, because I'm not the weak link, if you will, anymore. Whether I was or wasn't, that's how I perceived myself to be. Now, as a sort of general contractor, I'm just managing all the tools that all these different vendors are going to be using. And once I started thinking of it like that, it started to make me feel more grown up, shall we say. As crazy as that sounds, I'm starting to feel like a big boy now. As crazy as that fucking, forgive my language, as crazy as that sounds, that's kind of what I was thinking, right? But that's what it is. And if you think of it from that point of view, it doesn't matter if it's me with 30 years experience or someone just starting in this industry. You just need to find the vendors, which I'm in communication with all the time, and you just need to implement their tools and learn sort of the big picture kind of thing. Lo and behold, I stood by my guns. I gave myself permission to project, belief in myself and that I valued this experience, this knowledge, this place that I'm at. And he said yes on the spot, and we've never met. That's really good proof of concept here. And I'm going to take that as a win to the bank, all right? And even if he doesn't engage me after I do this, I've made money on doing that assessment, whereas in the past I would have done them for free, and if they didn't engage me, I'd have wasted all that time and effort. Yeah, it feels like I'm growing up. About friggin' time. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this up here. Again, no idea when I started. I want to try and keep this to 15 minutes or less. Hope you're doing well. Be good to yourself.